Professor Marc Lamont Hill and Luke Visconti, CEO and co-founder of Diversity Incorporated. Guys, to you, Mark, was this Limbaugh just being Limbaugh and we're used to this and move on from it, or should we stop and pay attention here as well?
Well, it's both. I mean, on the one hand, clearly Rush Limbaugh just hadn't been in the headlines for a week or two and needed to get some attention. But the timing of it is shameful. To do this the day after George Steinbrenner passes away is completely unacceptable. But the deeper implication here is reflective of something that we've seen as a problem in America for a long time. I mean, the implication here is somehow that we should be grateful to George Steinbrenner and that through unchecked capitalism, he has created this opportunity to for African-American people that they should be thankful for and that otherwise wouldn't be there. The reality is, if George Steinbrenner is capable of making African-American millionaires, then that means he's making a lot more money here. The relationship between athletes and players is one, between athletes and owners is one, where the owners have the chip stacked in their favor completely. And so we shouldn't have any sense of overwhelming gratitude to George Steinbrenner for allowing an opportunity for him to make billions as African-American players make millions. I'm not mad at George Steinbrenner, but let's not act as if any complaint about racism in America can somehow be mitigated by the fact that George Steinbrenner creates black millionaires while he's making billions.
And Luke, on this issue, and we talked about already the NAACP and the Tea Party movement, the back and forth between those two, and also the comments we'll get into in a second, but Jesse Jackson made about the Dan Gilbert, the head of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Luke, did we learn anything about ourselves this week that we didn't already know?
I think it draws into a little bit more clarity the point around which you can make money off of race baiting. And I think Rush Limbaugh is an expert at that. He's an expert at setting up his audience to believe the worst about people, to go, oh yeah, that's right. And it's a continuation of American history, the Know-Nothings Party, Father Coughlin in the 1930s. This is just a person making money off of race baiting. And I think that what he pointed out is that we have a long way to go in our country. But I will say this about George Steinbrenner. He made a lot of people a lot of money, and most of them were white. And I don't think that really, what difference does that make? He was a good businessman, and I'm sorry he's dead.
Mark, on the issue of race baiting, who needs to step up and stop falling for it? Because we often hear from the quote-unquote leaders, and that back and forth gets so many other people stirred up, and then you see all the vitriol we saw on TV this week. So whose responsibility is it to step up and realize what is being done to us and not fall for it?
Well, there's two things. The first thing is black leadership, whether it's the leader of the NAACP or local civic organizations, whether it's our politicians, we have to not respond to every single incident that comes up. If a Hallmark card might be perceived as racist, we don't need to jump at that every single time because it divides our interests up too much. The other thing here is we have to understand that many of the moves that the right makes that are racist are done for our reaction. They understand that when we react with outrage, it only galvanizes the racist base of the right. And so in many ways, we need to pick our battles. I'd much rather have, for example, an NAACP continuing to focus on job creation and workers' rights and the things that they are doing than to necessarily make a resolution against the Tea Party, even though the resolution is right.
All right, Luke, I'm coming back to you when we come out of this commercial break. We're going to continue our conversation with these two gentlemen, and we're going to move on to the other topic we